Welcome to the NovaLeague. I'm Gremlin, and if you've been around the channel long enough, you know that my favorite Pokemon is Girafarig. But do you know what my top 10 favorites are? Me neither, I'm super indecisive. But I do know what my ideal team would be if Pokemon were real and I was limited to catching things in my area. And here they are. Don't give me any flack about the Farigiraf. I'm like 10 minutes from the zoo. Let me have this. But anyway, yeah, no joke. I've dreamed of this scenario multiple times, and this is always the team. And partially because of this dream team, despite being from the newest generation, Garganacl and its whole line have shot up to my absolute top favorite Pokemon. If we ignore the fact that Scarlet and Violet introduced an evolution to my favorite Pokemon, then the Nacli line is the best brand new thing to come out of the Paldea Pokedex, for me anyway. Very rarely do I have a ton to talk about and so much I love about every entry of a 3-stage Pokemon line, but with these Pokemon, man, does each one really stand out in my mind. I knew I wanted a Nacli on my team since before we even knew what it was called. All I had to go on was a radar image that accidentally revealed it early in a trailer, but that's all I needed. This little rock with glowing pixel eyes is perfect. I can't believe a nearly faceless pebble can be this cute. Look at it. And Garganacl, man, was that a surprise to see evolve for the first time on opening night. I don't typically like Pokemon that stand up on 2 legs like a person, but the unique shape of Garganacl completely sidesteps this hang-up for me. It is huge and awesome and so weird. But Naclstack. I think a Naclstack is my favorite middle evolution of any Pokemon ever. When I first saw it, I genuinely thought that it was the final form, and I was so okay with that. It feels like a Minecraft mob, but in a good way, and if there's something you should know about me, it's that, before Pokemon, I was, a Minecraft YouTuber.
Hello there, YouTube. I am ConnorCraft.
Minecraft remains one of my biggest interests alongside Pokemon, writing, and Doctor Who, so seeing a Pokemon that reminds me of Minecraft while still maintaining its Pokemon identity, it was something magical. Speaking of magical, let me take you back to the moment I laid eyes on Naclstack for the first time. It's a story I've told countless times, but it's integral to the channel lore surrounding this Pokemon. You see, before the release of Scarlet and Violet, Advocide was the only one of us to peer into the dark territory of leaks. He would report back to Randy and I with small tidbits of information, filtered teasers for our journey to come. And the most interesting thing he told us before we got our hands on the game on the night of release was that there was a new Pokemon named Nutsack. Randy and I were enthralled. What could he possibly mean by this? We need to find the Nutsack Pokemon. Little did I know that I had its pre-evolution in my party from the start of the game, but it wasn't an evolution that showed me this new favorite for the first time. In my quest to find Girafarig, I stumbled upon the only Pokemon that could possibly distract me from my absolute favorite. I ran into it, and this moment ensued.
Hold on, Girafarig. Hold on. Give me a second, buddy. That is just Minecraft. Do I replace my guy? How the hell is this thing... Nutsack! Oh my god! So that's the Nutsack Pokemon! Naclstack? That's a Minecraft pig or something.
From this point forward, whenever I stream, myself and chat almost exclusively refer to Naclstack as the Nutsack Pokemon. And now, I hope you do too. I would later shiny hunt that exact Naclstack, which was a journey in and of itself, but this time around, I want to hunt for one with a special mark. Also of note, Queen Ruby's first ever shiny was a Nacli, and so she likes this line of Pokemon quite a bit too. This is important. But enough of the past, let's focus on the now and the reason for this video. See, uploads have been significantly slowed since Safari Week because Queen Ruby and I moved in together in a new apartment, and things have been hectic since. Our stuff was slowly put away and organized over the weeks, and we collected furniture from my parents' home, we thrifted stuff like this awesome frog bowl, and bought new stuff like this awesome frog welcome mat, and these awesome frog ice cube molds. And I spent a lot of time doing interior decorating with Ruby's Sonic plushes and Legos and all of my Pokemon stuff and more Legos. But as we watched Doctor Who each night with dinner, we lacked an important piece of furniture. A coffee table. So I dragged a cardboard box full of stuff we hadn't put away yet and plopped a wooden plank on top, and I stared at it. I looked at the Scale World figures of the Nacli line on the shelf, then back at the wooden plank, which matched the color of the shiny, and I thought, hey, what if I made a Shiny Naclstack Coffee Table?
Oh, okay, alright. She's just peeing on the carpet.
No! So, being the definitely not a handyman that I am, I knew that I couldn't do this project alone, and so I lit up the dad signal and texted him, how hard do you think it would be for me to make a coffee table that looks like this Pokemon? And he said,
we could try to do it over here next weekend. I have the tools.
Perfect. We have a plan. But also, I wanted my dad's help in this project not just because he's my dad and he has all the right tools and I don't, but because he's probably the reason I like this Pokemon so much. See, my dad is a geologist, and throughout my life we've gone to all sorts of places almost solely because of how cool the rocks are. We've been fossil hunting, sightseeing, camping, you name it. His interest in rocks must have rubbed off on me because one of my favorite things about the Nacli line are the visible layers of the different rocks, which reminds me of canyons and mesas. Like from Minecraft. Also, I went to community college at the school where my dad teaches, and he was my oceanography professor.
Now, if you remember, salt is a mineral, NaCl, or halite, but it is also a sedimentary rock. And so as the water evaporates, the salt basically combines, crystallizes, and sinks to the bottom of this shallow aquatic environment and builds up as a deposit of sedimentary salt. After a while, after thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of years, that rock gets compressed enough to become a solid rock layer that we call rock salt. It typically forms along with gypsum, similar to salt, since it's an evaporite mineral as well. So, such an interesting rock. Okay, let's move on.
So, it was time to get going. I threw together some rudimentary blueprints for the table using my Scare World Naclstack as a reference so that my dad would know what size wood to get, and I sent them over to him right away. But it turns out, we didn't actually need to get much because he had a whole bunch of spare wood just lying around because, oh god, he completely destroyed my room mere nanoseconds after I moved out. What is this place? What do you mean this is where all the videos on the channel were made before I moved out? Where's my desk? What is this? This isn't my room. This is awful. Just kidding, it's awesome. Anyway, with a bunch of spare wood burning a hole in my parents' backyard, this was the perfect excuse to use it. My dad drew up some plans on the day and it was time to get going, but before we could get too far into the progress, there's another goal of this video. I want to find a shiny Naclstack with a cool mark, likely a personality mark of some kind. Once I find a shiny with a mark that I like, I will imbue the table with the soul of that Pokemon, and they will be one in the same. So, while my dad and I make progress on the beginning of the table, who are we kidding? While my dad does most of the starting work, let's see if I can get some good marked shiny luck. Watch it be sociable. I'm sure we'll get one. My mark luck is pretty bad. I'm sure we'll get like a few. We'll get a few dud marks probably. Like we could even get a personality mark that I just don't vibe with, you know? Yeah, the rare mark on the one hand would be cool because it's like the rare mark, but I don't think I would decide that that's our table simply because I don't want to call our table Mesa the Recluse. Like as objectively cool as the mark itself is. Also, I'm still waiting for a speaker to come in the mail so that I can, it's a wireless speaker that plays MP3s from a micro SD card. So what I'm going to do is put one MP3 file on this micro SD card. It's going to be an hour of silence with a Naclstack cry at the very beginning. And I'm going to time it up so that at the top of every hour, the table makes a Naclstack cry. It'll be like a bell tower. It's going to be awesome. And it's also totally not going to work and the speaker will die after like a day. But it's just, honestly, it's for like guests. Oh, shiny Naclstack. Are you marked? Yes! Ah! Okay. That's one. That is one. All right. Right at the tail end of the sandwich, we got 30 seconds left. What do you have? What mark do you have? Could we possibly first try this right now? I highly doubt it. Unless it's got like a super cool personality mark right now. It's snowing. It'll probably be the Snow Frolicker. But that's fine. We're in no rush. And also, we're not looking for anything specific like the Destiny mark, so there's nothing to stress over. This is a very chill hunt. Let's not name it yet. We don't know for sure if this is the one. It'd be really anticlimactic if it was first try, something I really like. Sociable. That's to be expected. Not ideal. That's fine. Alright, with one shiny down, let's check in on the table. First step is to cut out the parts that will make up the lower and upper body sections. Though, I wasn't much help because I kept getting distracted by all my parents' pets. But anyway, with the pieces ready, it's as simple as screwing them together. But while we do that, there's actually another aspect of this arts and crafts journey in this video. Let's check in with Queen Ruby.
Hello, it's me. I'm making a coaster for soon-to-be-born table. I was looking for ideas, and I was like, oh, because there's layers of the rock. Usually in those layers of rock you can find fossils, so I was trying to see if I could make fossil kind. So that's my idea so far. I'm using these little cork coaster things. My plan is to use epoxy resin to immortalize it forever, you know, so that it never dies. I've started painting. Look it! It doesn't look like that much, but it'll look better once it's painted. I'll check back in once I'm done painting. Okay, bye.
Back with the construction, things were going amazingly. There were a couple missteps here and there, like here I outlined the shape of the eye holes, but I would later decide that the faceplate should be thicker, so this thin piece would later be scrapped. I think probably the best part of the construction so far is just the fact that the cats aren't scared of the noise. They like to check in on our progress. With the two body portions knuckle stacked on top of each other, it was time to figure out the center body cube.
That?
Yeah, around there.
I figured that for stability, it was best to build it around the two pieces as a means to attach them together. So by laying the core on its side, we could easily screw in the shoulder segments. Soon enough, we had a shape that started to be sort of recognizable as a Naclstack. And speaking of recognizing Naclstacks, oh, shiny! Mark? Man, that's alright. That's okay. That's alright. No, I'm okay, I'm fine. No, I'm chill, actually. This is okay. This is awesome. Shiny Naclstack. It's not marked. That's okay. Oh, is that a No mark. Why? Why not? Hey man, why no mark? Hey, why no mark? Dude, we're trying to find a cool mark. Again, I said I'm fine with phases, but I would like to phase on some options for a mark. What is my mark luck? I have historically really bad mark luck. That's nutsack number 3. My dad did like 99% of the woodwork for the base of the thing. Shout out to him for doing most of the work. Oh, speaking of, no mark? How? Not even why this time, mostly just how. Hey, I have title power. What's going on? Get caught. Just get caught, dude. At least it's at the beginning of the sandwich. That is shameful. No, I keep saying it's not going to be like Minior, you guys. It's so much more chill than Minior. We're having really good shiny luck at the very least. Remember that time when we were looking for Minior and we went like 6 hours without a shiny? At least that's not happening. I need this weather to end. Oh, thanks. Oh, hey, a shiny. What the? Did you guys see the moon? That was the moon, right? So I know there's a shiny on my screen, but did the moon just like zoom by? Or did I like completely imagine that? Do you have a mark? No? Huh? Why not? Why don't you have a mark? Hey, hey, why don't you have a mark? Hey, why not? Is this our 5th one? What's going on? Hey, what's happening here, man? Next up for the table, we've got to bridge the gap between the shoulder segments to give the illusion that the center body is all one continuous block, which is easily accomplished with a simple thin faceplate. The back was less important, as it would eventually be covered up by the rock shaping, which I'd do later, but my dad thought it would be better to give it some structure in the back anyway, which definitely helped me later. Though, where thin faceplates are added, another is replaced. I got to work replacing the old face with the new, much sturdier one. This one would much more accurately reflect the indent in Naclstack's eyes, and allow for the addition of magnets later down the line. My dad cut out the eyes, briefly became a Garganical, and I made sure that the corners of Naclstack's body were sanded down to reflect the missing chips in his in-game model. And then, it was time for probably the most difficult part of the woodworking. Nutsack's feet. Huh? But we didn't quite have what we needed to get the job done, so it was time for a trip to Home Depot. Because my mark luck specifically, is bad. Oh, is that one? Please have a mark. Please have a mark. Oh! Ah! Our second mark. Cool. All right. Our second chance is something cool. It's snowing. It's going to be the Snow Frolicker, or it's going to be a socialable again. The Sleepy. I will say that is not a personality mark, but of the time-based marks, not the worst. We will hold on to this as a potential contender for the table, depending on what else we get. I'll say before the end of the week. It is Wednesday, before the end of Friday. If we don't get anything better than the Sleepy, this one is a contender. Back at the Home Depot, I put my color matching skills to the test and picked up the 4 main paints for Shiny Naclstack: Frontier Brown, Kindling, Beehive, and Campfire Ash. In hindsight, Campfire Ash was a bit too bright, but I like how it eventually turned out regardless. Next, we had to find some sturdy wood for the feet, as these would be the support for the whole table. We found some that would work, and also grabbed plexiglass for the eyes and magnets for the faceplate. All this, well, you see, did you know we have channel memberships? I also write books. I am unemployed. The reason the feet would be the most difficult part of the woodworking is that we couldn't build them separately and then attach them. They had to be added to the body, and each face of the wood would have to be screwed to the next with increasingly awkward angles. And on top of all that, this is a table, so it had to be level. Figuring out all of this took us a lot longer than we thought it would, so we had to call it a day there, thus ending day 1 of progress on the table.
Meanwhile, went ahead and started painting all of the coasters that I've made so far. So my process is outline them with a pen, as you can see here. We got a Lego lightsaber pen and also a golf club pen because we're awesome. And we just kind of draw it out, outline it in a black Sharpie, and then paint over it. I really like how the Shieldon came out. I think it looks adorable. I kind of free-handed it, so I'm kind of awesome because I just did that on the first try, definitely for sure. I did not do a second try. I always do things on the first try. What I really like about this coffee table is that it's kind of like the representation of what I think my life as a young adult and also just going into adulthood is gonna look like. Because who would have thought that I would ever have a Pokemon as a coffee table? I thought I had to be okay with, oh, I have to quote unquote grow up and get a like regular run-of-the-mill furniture, which some of that's cool, some of that is cool, but isn't it better to just have like a random ass Pokemon? As Gremlin told me as I was painting coasters, this is like something that Spencer from iCarly would have in their Seattle apartment. So I think that's hilarious. So in all, I did coasters of Ammonite, Kabutops, Tyrant, and Shieldon. I'm going to be so honest, I really wanted a Shieldon coaster. I'm so glad that it was a fossil because it fit into the theme. I made two other ones. One of them is a shiny sparkle because the Mesa is shiny. The last coaster in the lineup will be the mark that Mesa has. I was able to use Future Sight to gaze into the future, to see the mark that is bestowed on Mesa, because I'm awesome. If you want to know what mark this Mesa has, keep watching. It's a good one, I promise you. It's a good one. I like it a lot. It will be awarded to him like a medal so that he can wear it in real life, like he has in the game, like the video game Pokemon. You ever heard of it?
What if we had a Shiny Naclstack Coffee Table? And she said that'd be awesome. And there's a Shiny Naclstack, not marked though, because of course it isn't. Glad we can get the story of why I'm doing this in there though. And so that's our fourth shiny in this sandwich. That's crazy. But yeah, so that's how I got the idea. When I showed up for day 2, I was surprised to see that my dad had already made a ton of progress on the feat, so not much was left to go before the table was fully handed over to me to complete. Speaking of which, you may think I had no hand in this whatsoever considering how little there is of me in the footage, but look, there I am. Doing, I don't know, something. Probably. Listen, I knew my dad had the woodworking covered, and I was helping a bit, but only when I wasn't working the camera. Believe me, once the woodwork is done, there's still a lot left for me to do. This is as much my dad's creation as it is mine, and because of that, I made sure to have us both sign our work of collective art before we sealed up the belly of the beast. And this thing was really starting to become a beast. It was getting harder to lift, and I even hurt myself flipping it over this time. This is becoming a very difficult thing to maneuver with. I also am just pretty weak, so that might have something to do with it. The last thing my dad helped me with was attaching the magnets to the face, which was weirdly difficult. And if you're wondering why we went with magnets, well, there's a decent amount of storage space in the table, so I needed an opening, and if I want the eyes to glow, which I do, we're gonna need a way to change the batteries. And with that, my dad's job here is done, and the job of bringing the table to life falls onto me. So, have I found that good mark yet? Oh! Hey, what's my mark luck? What is my mark luck? Legitimately, what is my mark luck? I don't get it. That was a really quick shiny though. My shiny luck for this is really good though. I can't complain in that regard. With nothing left to do at my parents' house, it was time to bring the Naclstack home. My mom and I stopped by a craft store on the way, and I picked up the exact right amount of hard styrofoam I would need to sculpt the rocky bits of the Knackle back, which, was weirdly expensive. With the table carefully delivered, it was time for attention to detail. I spent a few hours sanding down uneven edges and erasing gaps with wood filler. I tried using a tool for it at first, but honestly the job was better done with my fingers, which could more accurately form smooth shapes. I worked on it into the night, which I hardly even noticed. I haven't always been into making physical art, but man, is there something therapeutic about this. I really started to appreciate deciding to do this, and I was having a lot of fun. Though it's probably difficult to tell the amount of progress that was made, as a lot of the effort was focused on smaller details that don't quite come across on camera. But it was important for the final thing to come out looking smooth and finished. Also, I know I just talked about how much I enjoyed this, but man, once that wood filler started to dry, it was the worst sensation. Absolutely hate that texture. The next morning, Ruby helped me flip it over so I could paint the underside, which would be some of the only painting for a while. I needed to paint the underside now because once the foam was in place, flipping the table would be off limits. It was now or never. Then Ruby was off to work, so she helped me flip it over again, and it was time for me to start what I think was the hardest part of the entire build, shaping the rocks. The name of the game here really is attention to details. I made sure to sculpt the line that cuts across the front of Naclstack's face by shaping it with wood filler before painting the faceplate and setting it aside to dry. Then I carved the foam cones into Naclstack's rock toes, and I started to use the Naclstack for its intended purpose, a coffee table. I finished off the toes with wood filler, and then came the part that I dreaded the most, carving the big rocks. Oh! 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 It's marked! It's marked! It's a shiny and it's marked! Guys, it's a shiny and it's marked! Ooh, that was a good angle. I like that shot. Oh, it's snowing. It's gonna be the snow frolicker. Let's all temper our expectations. Is this our table? Will it have a cool personality mark? The shivering. So not the snow frolicker. I will say, horrible mark if it wants to be our table. Our table is not the shivering. We live in the desert. It will never shiver, ever. But that is a mark I haven't gotten before. Okay, well, same story with the shiny, starting to struggle on the hunt. I'm starting to struggle on the project too. The rocks of Naclstack are more organically shaped, and before I can even carve the foam, I only have 5 blocks to work with, so I have to be very careful with how I go about this. My plan was to slot the blocks into the back panels that my dad placed so that they'd sit in place like Lego blocks and help keep them structurally sound without any glue. If I fit them in snugly enough, the 3 back cubes would be pressing in on themselves and forcing themselves to stay put. This required a lot of forward thinking and visualizing the schematics in my head because I refused to waste time drawing it out, which ironically consumed a lot of my day of progress anyway. But once I had a bunch of funky shapes slotted into place at the base, I can move on to the bigger picture. In order to secure the blocks together, I stabbed popsicle sticks between them as makeshift nails or pegs. I had to make sure to build up a shape bigger than I would need, as I would have to sculpt the true shape out of it later. Progress was slow, but promising. I kept thinking about that one scene from the movie Surf's Up about the surfing penguins when they're making that one surfboard and he has to like very slowly grind out the wood and the other penguin is like, no dude, you gotta do it slower and more methodical than that. That was just in the back of my mind the whole time. Good movie, by the way. I couldn't mess this up. There was no way I was going to go back to the store to buy another $10 foam cube. Also, I bought their entire stock already, so this was it. I was incredibly nervous about the sturdiness of the foam, if it would even hold, and for a while there, it was looking like it wouldn't, but I had to stick to my plan. I unfortunately don't have any footage of me carving it because it was 85 degrees outside, and if I wanted to make progress, I needed to take off my shirt, and you don't get to see that for free. Also, my phone overheated in the sun. That was probably the main thing, actually. Anyway, I successfully carved it without any issue. The foam held strong during the aggressive sawing, which was a good sign for the table's stability, and to tell you the truth, it was at this point that my confidence shot through the roof. This one part was the thing that I was most nervous about getting wrong. The rock shape could make or break the entire design, but I think I nailed it. And now I'm more fueled than ever to finish this table, knowing for certain that it's gonna look awesome. But then, all of my excitement vanished when I realized that I'd have to slather the entire foam surface with that disgusting wood filler that I hate, and this sucked. Because my fingers were the best tool for the job, I essentially sanded my skin off by rubbing through styrofoam all day. And to top it off, I ran out of wood filler, which costs $14 per tub, and I needed more. This was rough. But at least as the sun set, I could work inside on getting the pupils ready for the faceplate, which was pretty easy. But the next day, with emergency wood filler bought by Ruby, I was able to completely cover the foam and sand down the roughest parts. I wanted to keep some spots rough because this wood filler stuff, as gross as it is, really sells the texture of stone. I could really see the Naclstack now. It felt so real. But as I started to work on painting the table, making it even more real with every brushstroke, I need to know, which Pokemon's soul will be imbued in the brain of this table, giving it life? And what will its mark be? I'll show you guys. I have the brain of the nutsack. Let me go get my nutsack brain. I'll be right back. So this is his brain. This is what's gonna go behind the eyes. And it's tall enough to fill the gap. It's not wide enough. An 8-inch tall gap on the inside of the head, but it's like 9 inches wide. But this is gonna be his brain. And it can do like all sorts of wacky things. Like it can be different colors. That's why I'm hesitant to paint the actual orange on, because this is the right color. This or this. It just doesn't fill the gap enough, which is unfortunate. Of course, she starts barking again. Literally, what is she barking at? There's nothing out there. Is she stupid? The answer is yes. Oh, shiny. Oh, with a mark. Let me go get Chicha. You can't be barking during this moment. This could be it. This could be the one, Chicha. This could be the one. You can't bark during this. This could be our table. This is a very important moment. Thanks for the giant nutsack, Skyfish Jack.
Oh.
Could this be the one? Could this be it? Let's find out. It's marked. It's marked. Let's figure this out. Level balls seem to be working, and they look cool. I like level balls. That didn't work. They lied to me. There we go. Okay. Do we have a cool mark? I'm gonna guess adamant. It is male and careful and... Whoa! Oh! What? We got the rare mark. What? We haven't even gotten a personality mark yet. Yeah, Laugh here called that. Well, now hold on. Before I said it's not a personality mark and I don't like the title of the Recluse, so I might not count it. But like, there is only one Naclstack table. That is the rarest thing, right? The one and only. I think we might have to. We can't just keep going after this, right? But like, this is it, right? This is one stream wonder. The game just forced our hand. It's like, no, don't even try to get a personality mark, because whatever personality mark we would go for, we would be settling for one of the many, right? Like, we're gonna choose one that's like, yeah, this title fits, I guess. But like, this is a 1 in 1,000 chance, right? Well, what is it with title power? Title power 3, 4 in 1,000 chance. Yeah, that is what I didn't want, but I've changed my mind. Because we're never gonna call it by its full name, Mesa the Recluse. I think it makes sense that the one and only nutsack table in the world is the rarest. You know what I mean? This is... Hold on. Do I have a level ball, actually? So this is its ball. This is our table's ball. This is our table. Mesa the Recluse. It's also sturdy ability, which, you know, not good for in-game, but like, maybe that bodes well for the table, you know? It's also careful nature, because you gotta be really careful around this table. Because I made it, and like, I wouldn't trust that too much. Let's go show off our table. Here is Mesa. We know that Mesa's a he now. Is this about the right height? Yeah, that's about the size of the table. Yeah. If you're perfectly average, that's perfect, because I did it based on the Pokedex. Man, I love Naclstack. I was literally just showing you the brain of the table as well, so we can put the brain in them. Oh, wow, I love how this turned out. This is perfect. This is awesome. Oh, I love this. Perfectly averaged. That's awesome. That's what I built the table after. The table is also the perfectly average size. It's 2 feet tall, just like the Pokedex says. Perfectly average, careful nature, because we gotta be careful with the table. Rare mark, because it's the one and only Naclstack table. This is awesome. Perfectly average, rare, careful nutsack. Couldn't have said it better myself. Oh my god. And it's sturdy, just like I hope the construction of the table is. Dude, look at you. You're my table. You're my coffee table. I'm gonna put my coffee on you sometimes, and we're gonna, when Ruby and I watch Doctor Who, we're gonna put our plates on you. I hope you're okay with that. I've spent the last few days just shaping this thing, and like, you guys haven't seen the table yet, but in the video, I think I nailed it. Like, I'm looking at it here, and it's a little rough around the edges, the one that I made, but the general, like, the important shapes are all there. This is so cool, dude. This came out perfect. Let's level you up to 100. Level 100, the pinnacle of power for a coffee table. And let's spam B. You are not evolving. You are a permanent Naclstack. Perfect just the way you are, Mesa. The table does not move that fast, I can tell you that much. Make it Grass Terra because of wood? That is a great idea. Yeah, I will definitely do that. Let's find something to send it out against. All right, normal Fido. Go, Mesa the Recluse. No, that's crazy. No, that's crazy. One stream? That is nuts. How did I get the rare mark on one of my targets faster than the Destiny mark? I'm gonna always be mad about that Minior. Always. I'm never forgiving that Minior for what it put me through. And I finished the table today. I mean, I still have a couple days of like, I'm sure it's all settled before we can actually bring it inside. But for the most part, it's done. So... I'm so happy. This project, guys, I can't describe the feeling of seeing this thing in real life. It really feels like an actual Naclstack is like right there. This whole thing has made me so happy, especially the excuse to spend time with my dad, helping me make that thing. Couldn't have done it without him. But honestly, I wasn't even making the table for a video. I was making the table because I wanted it.